Welcome to Have You Read It? The channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today we're embarking on a fascinating journey through time, exploring the very essence of what it means to be human: migration. Our guide is Ian Goldin's insightful book, The Shortest History of Migration. This book isn't just a dry recounting of names and dates, it's a vibrant exploration of human movement, from the first tentative steps of Homo sapiens out of Africa to the rise of the digital nomad. Goldin's personal connection to this topic adds a layer of poignancy. His own family history is intertwined with migration, with his grandparents fleeing Europe to escape persecution. This experience informs his perspective, leading him to argue that migration is not a problem to be solved, but a solution to many of the challenges we face. He sees migration as the very engine of human progress, a vital force that has shaped our world and will continue to define our future. So, where does this incredible story begin? Well, as Goldin puts it, we are all migrants. If your ancestors hadn't migrated at some point, you wouldn't be here. Our story begins with the first migrants, our Homo sapiens ancestors, venturing out of Africa. The sources paint a picture of these early humans as restless explorers, driven by curiosity and necessity to traverse vast distances. They weren't just wandering aimlessly, they were adapting, innovating, and interbreeding with other hominin groups like Neanderthals and Denisovans. This intermingling, this exchange of genes and ideas, laid the very foundation for our species' survival and success. Imagine these early humans, navigating by the stars and the currents, crossing land bridges and vast oceans. Their journeys were fraught with danger, yet they persisted, carrying with them the seeds of agriculture, the beginnings of language, and the spark of human creativity. The development of agriculture, around 13,000 years ago, was a game changer. It allowed for settlements, for food surpluses, and for the rise of the first cities. These early urban centers became hubs of innovation and exchange, drawing in people from far and wide, creating a melting pot of cultures and technologies. As these cities grew and prospered, so too did the first empires. And with empires came trade. And with trade, the movement of people, goods, and ideas across vast distances. The Silk Road, that iconic network of trade routes connecting East and West, became a conduit for cultural exchange, a testament to human ingenuity and the power of interconnectedness. But the rise of empires also brought a darker side to migration: the forced movement of people, the exploitation of labor, and the horrors of slavery. The so-called Age of Discovery, often romanticized as a time of heroic exploration, was also a time of brutal conquest and exploitation. European explorers, driven by greed and a thirst for power, set sail for new lands, bringing with them not only new technologies, but also diseases that decimated indigenous populations. This period marked the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, a horrific chapter in human history that saw millions of Africans forcibly transported to the Americas. The scale of this forced migration is almost unimaginable. The sources describe the appalling conditions on slave ships, the brutality of plantation life, and the enduring legacy of this horrific trade. Even after the abolition of slavery, the exploitation of migrant labor continued in various forms. Indentured servitude, debt bondage, and other forms of coerced labor became the new face of forced migration. Millions of people from Asia, Africa, and other parts of the world were transported to work in mines, plantations, and on the railroads of empires. The sources highlight the harsh conditions these workers faced, the discrimination they endured, and the long-lasting impact of these exploitative systems. The mid-19th to early 20th century saw an unprecedented period of mass migration, driven by a combination of factors, from famine and persecution to the lure of new opportunities in the Americas and other parts of the world. Millions of Europeans crossed the Atlantic, reshaping the demographics of entire continents. This era also saw significant migration within Asia and the Pacific, as people sought new opportunities in burgeoning industrial centers. But this era of relatively free movement came to an end with the outbreak of World War I. The sources describe how the war and the rise of nationalism led to the introduction of passports, visas, and other forms of border control. For the first time in modern history, the movement of people became tightly regulated by states, marking a profound shift in how we think about and control migration. The 20th century was a century of unprecedented upheaval, marked by 2 world wars, the rise and fall of empires, and the Cold War. These events led to massive displacements of people, as refugees fled conflict zones and sought safety elsewhere. The sources paint a vivid picture of the refugee crises of this period, the challenges faced by relief agencies, and the long-lasting impact of these forced migrations. The post-war era saw the dismantling of colonial empires and the emergence of new nation-states. These changes led to further waves of migration, as people sought new opportunities or fled persecution in their homelands. The sources highlight the complex and often fraught relationship between migration and development, exploring the benefits and challenges of remittances, brain drain, and the role of diasporas. So, where does that leave us today? The world is more interconnected than ever before, yet migration remains a highly contested issue. The sources reveal a stark disconnect between the economic realities of migration and the political rhetoric that often surrounds it. While migrants contribute significantly to the economies of receiving countries, they often face discrimination, prejudice, and exploitation. Looking to the future, the sources suggest that several factors will shape migration patterns in the 21st century. Demographic changes, with aging populations in many developed countries and a burgeoning youth population in Africa, will create new pressures for migration. Climate change, with its attendant environmental disasters and resource scarcity, will also become a major driver of migration. And the rise of digital technologies, with the emergence of remote work and the increasing ease of communication across borders, will create new opportunities for migration, particularly for skilled workers. Goldin argues that we need a new approach to migration, one that recognizes its benefits and addresses its challenges in a humane and effective way. He calls for a global migration agenda based on international cooperation and a shared understanding of the importance of human mobility. The key takeaway from Goldin's book is that migration is not a problem to be solved, but a fundamental aspect of the human condition. It's a force for progress, a source of innovation, and a testament to our shared humanity. We need to move beyond the fear and prejudice that often surround migration and embrace it as a vital force for a better future. We are all migrants. If your ancestors hadn't migrated, you wouldn't be here. Migration is a solution, not a problem. It drives progress, fuels innovation, and connects us all. Embrace diversity. Migrants enrich our societies, bringing new skills, ideas, and perspectives. Invest in integration. Support migrants and help them become contributing members of our communities. Think globally, act locally. Advocate for humane and effective migration policies at all levels. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.